Are you recording, right?
Nah. All right. So Cactus, go back again. All right. Go back for the graph.
Huh?
All right. So you said lens blur. All right. Start at the beginning. All right. Now you can start now.
Alright, lens blur, you can like do it in the beginning. So I kind of did lie a little bit. Now, to be honest, this is for me. I use it in the beginning, but in a little bit, I'll show you that you can use it in the middle. So, like, you normally like you'll keyframe it, go into the graph, play around with it a little bit. Me personally, I want you to see the blur, so I'll like make it something like this. Maybe turn this down a little bit, right? And you get something
Mhm.
like this,
Mhm.
right? It's a little blur in the beginning, like that. Yada yada. Okay, it's nothing special. You could probably turn up the actual blur itself and try to get something. But I always use these in my edits because I want the scene to look blurry in the beginning. I want it to like blur out and then blur in. You know,
Okay. Okay.
so it was something like this. It's nothing basic. If you want more questions on it, just let me know. That's the first effect, right? We're gonna take that off.
Okay.
Second effect. This is gonna be really, and I mean really important. I mean so important,
Is it
like
one
as
of
an
the
effect, like not as a point most of the time. That was
It's
dumb.
like the so is it like the shake I use on my go on Jersey saying two edit mode?
Hell no. Oh god. Oh goodness. Oh please no. No. It's something different. So there are there are two different types of shakes that you can use.
this long
So
thing?
so there is S shake, which I use sometimes. I also use dissolve shake sometimes, and then the one that I
Regular shake
also
now.
use is Twitch. I'll show you my
I,
picture.
I,
Twitch
No, you
streaming? Like
all
what you
have that
talking
one.
about?
I made sure y'all all have it.
I never did see it.
All right, so S shake, because that's probably the most basic one. I'm going to, as best as possible, try to explain to
That
you
shit
what I'm
shakes
doing.
like crazy though.
Huh?
That shakes like crazy.
Yeah, it shakes like crazy, but it's gonna be, you're gonna really, like, you're gonna really need to, hold on, real quick. Because I don't like what I'm seeing on black bars, bro. Hold on.
You know.
There we go. Okay. So, S shake. These are basically used to shake up your edit. It's used to add impact. Yeah, yeah. It's used to add impact to your edit, right? So,
Mm.
whether it be a scene, if there's like a hard beat, you want to use a shake, or if certain parts you want to use a shake on it. You don't always have to use a shake, but it is used to make impact in your edit. All right, amplitude. Amplitude is how fast it's gonna be, right? So, oh no, it's gonna be how hard it is. My fault. Frequency is gonna be how fast the shake is. So it default to give you like 8. I normally go up to like maybe a 13 or 11, something around in these lines, maybe even 9, right? So I'm gonna leave it like that. Those are two main ones you probably want to know more is amplitude and frequency. Amplitude is how hard it is. Frequency is how fast it is. Remember that. So then we go to X shape. X shape is left to right. So if you want your shake to be really very vertical. Yeah, vertical is it. Oh no, very horizontal. You want to use
Mm.
X shape. So it's gonna be like going really hard to left and right, really hard to the left and right. This is how much is gonna be shaken to the left and right. Now these ones, I don't recommend. I don't really advise you to really use them as much since you're gonna really have to understand what S shape is. But the frequency is how hard. The wave frequency is the actual like direction it's gonna be going in. If that makes sense. This is just gonna control like if I want to start out on the left side or the right side, whatever. But those last one I just told you, you don't really need to know too much about. You just want to know about the rand amp, the first one up top. So this one right here, this one is just how hard it is, right? But let's say you want to have a Y shake. So a Y shake is very vertical. It's gonna go up and down and up and down. So if I want to have a very vertical shape, I'm going to increase this a lot. It's gonna basically be my vertical shape. It's the same thing that applies here. This is how hard it is. This is directions, yada yada. The same thing approved to you, but it's just a white shape, right?
Mm.
Now Z shakes, these are what give you the most impact. So Z shakes are like very bouncy. right? They add a lot of impact. It's hard to explain to you like a Z6, but it just it's very impactful, right? You
So
use these
basically,
to
my
make
niggas on you going in hard. Got
if you want to interpret it like that, yes. Z6 are very impactful. I started to use Z6 a lot recently because they added a lot of impact. So I guess I'll leave like this to show you, and everything else here is kind of like you know it's the same as the other one. How hard it is, directions, things like that. Right? Now the one over here, tilt shake. I don't use tilt shake a lot, tilt shake a lot, but you can kind of get the point of what it is. It's a tilt shake. It's gonna tilt your clip in the beginning, and it's gonna like tilt it. I don't recommend to use it a lot unless you're trying to go for like a soft type of shake, but yeah, okay. So after showing you all of that, I'm going to show you what a graph for this would look like, right? And I'm
you.
also gonna tell you this now. So when it comes down to a shake, it's gonna be you kind of want it to be as far as you can to the end of the actual clip. Me personally, sometimes I put it in the middle, but it's actually recommended you want to put it to like the last.
Shaking, bro.
So maybe I'll
Shaking.
turn it to 0 and I'll graph it, right? So in a graph editor, I got this. In a graph editor, you kind of want it to be very close together. So something like this right on top of the line, and then this right over it. So and then you'll get something like this. It's very impactful, but that's because I
Mm.
got a lot going on,
On
right?
the hard. All right.
But maybe something like this might help. Yeah, see, it's a little more stable.
So, guys, I
But
got a question.
yep,
So basically, for this shake effect, right? So, what would you recommend on like the type of edit to use it for?
any of it really. I mean, it all depends on what
I
you
mean,
want for.
I
So
mean, you use it basically in most all your edits, then?
yes, almost all my edits, I always use a form of a shape. I'm gonna show you like the other versions, but I almost use a form of a shape. But real quick, I'm going to show you what I mean by vertical and horizontal. So I'm going to put the X 0 and I'm going to leave the Y. This is what I get if I do that.
Oh, I sound like a math class, bro.
It's very vertical, right?
Okay.
Vice versa, if I do the same thing, if I get rid of the Y shape, I'm going to get this very horizontal, right? It's going to be very hard. It's pause. Now the reason why y'all see a lot of like bouncing is because of the Y of the Z shape. So if I take off the Z shape, I get this. It's not bouncy, but it's like very aggressive. It's called an aggressive shape. It's called an aggressive, right? But like I said, you play around with it a bit more, you'll see what will come to like. One of the shapes that I use a lot is this shape right here. This is a custom stick I made, which is very very close. Hold on. Yeah, that's a custom stick I've made, and I don't use it as much now as I did before, but it was me playing around with it. It's something quick, but it's a safe, right? That's why I recommend you want to put it like very far back, so then your shake can really, so your shake can really like you know bounce, really have aggression and show out the airplay. So something like that, right? So that's one form of shake that I use. The next one I use is
Okay.
called Twitch. Twitch I use
Twitch streaming.
a lot. Twitch is something y'all all have. Y'all don't have to worry about it. Make sure.
Let me double check.
So let me go ahead and explain something. So amount and speed. The amount is how much of the actual shake you're gonna see, and speed is how fast you're gonna see it. So I don't use a lot of the amount, so I'll go like 25 speed and 85 or 80 amount, like that. That's something cool. Now, if you come down to enable, you have a bunch of boxes you can check off. Emma, what are you doing? Emma, why are you over there?
I'm looking for food.
I left you over here one time and you start going roaming around the room.
Oh,
Hello,
Mark, I ain't gonna
where
lie
where are
though.
you at?
You think my
Emma.
nigga Cactus should become a teacher now, bro? I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, Emma, chill
Wait,
out.
my
That,
fault.
All
You
right.
thinking about that, bro?
make that YouTube tutorial, bro. Post it on YouTube. I keep watching the video, bro.
Yo,
I already got it
I had niggas
recorded,
tell me that
bro.
back in
I already got it recorded, bro. I'm about to
um
get good. 5 million views
so
already.
so when you go down to enable, right, you got a bunch of check marks. Now what do these check marks do? Hold on, my fault. What do these check marks do? I'm so glad you asked, folks. So let me go ahead and tell you what they
Nigga.
do.
Yes, man.
So blur is what it does. It's a blur, right? It's gonna blur it into its over. Color is gonna change the gradient of it a little bit. I don't use it as much, but you can use it. Light is gonna add an exposure, light up the scene a little bit, pretty much it. Scale is gonna zoom in your clip a little bit, and then whenever the stick is done, it's gonna zoom it back out. Now slide is the most important. The slide is what's gonna get you the actual shape. It's gonna get you the actual amount, like the actual stuff. Right? You always turn this on. When you're using this, you always turn it on. Because if you don't do it, your efforts go to waste. Always turn it on. Remember, time, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember what time does. So don't even ask me. But slide is what you want to use. Most of the time, I'll go like slide and maybe, light or slide and scale, whatever.
Blurry
But
as
I know,
hell.
huh?
Blurry as hell.
It's supposed to be the same. So behavior, I don't mess with behavior, but this is used for something. So even I don't know what this does. I don't use it. Operation controls is where territory happens. So let me go over this as best as I can.
Damn.
So slide amount is the actual shape. So like I want a lot. Right? So the slide amount itself will be like in hundreds. I want a lot of slide. I want a lot of staking. That.
Yeah.
Now the twitch is the like bouncing. I guess you want to say bouncing is kind of like Y in shape. Y X Y Z. It's kind of like this bottled into one. Kind of what it is. That's how I interpret it and how I figure it out. You can play around with the settings. I like mine for 2.2. That's what that is. Right? Or like seconds or like the amount. It's one of those. Like I'm not on the very on the nose with it because I've done it. Now slide direction is different. So direction is, let's say I want my shake to
Damn.
start like this. My shake will start from
Yeah,
down
call
to
me
middle.
also. Yeah, put me in a second.
All right. So slide will be like, so okay, so this direction is like a slide type of thing. So when the kick will start, it will start as like going up or coming from down. That is like, it's like a vertical shift, right? But most of the time I
Okay.
like having horizontal, so like this. This way, when it starts, it'll either come from the right or from the left, and it'll just happen, right? And it's kind of hard to explain, but I hope you get it. If you don't get it, just ask me. Now the spread, I'm not gonna phone with you. Don't mess with this because they already have it. So oh yeah, I forgot. So the spread is how much of the shake, the blurry part of the shake you're gonna see. You mainly always probably want to have that max as its default because you don't want people to really see this, and it kind of looks weird if you leave it like this. So I don't really advise you to like turn this down, but it's something if you want to do it, you can do it, right?
Okay.
Tendency, I'm not gonna front you. I do not know what to do. I don't use it. I'm being frankly, I'm being honest. I don't use it. I don't know what that
Yeah.
is. RGB split though is different. So RGB will show you the RGB colors in it. Now I do have like a preset for this where I do have the RGB on, but that was for a certain pick, and I just have not made another preset for it. Whatever. But if you want to have it on, you can have it on. It's not going to really affect it besides showing the RGB parts on the stick. You can leave it on. The motion blur is how much motion blur you're going to see.
Damn.
You
Okay.
don't want to have that junk on because it's
Damn.
going to look trash. And you need five feet. I don't know. I don't. I haven't really explored with it. I just got to know the basics and that's it. But let's come down to the graphing and what it's going to look like. So you always want to graph the amount. When you graph the amount, you do something. You do like similar stuff to what you do with the normal shake. But this time, I normally always go into the middle, and I'll turn this down to like a zero, graph it, and then the graph will probably look something like this. I want it to be pretty fast, so I'll do a fifth graph, which is really close together, and probably something like this, like that. Now, depending on how
Mhm.
long your clip is and if you want your clip to be that hard, you can probably do something like this, close it in a bit, this is the graph, and then maybe something like this. So it's pretty fast. I want it to be fast, so it's not really feasible. And then, if you don't like the way it bounces a lot, you can always, come back, maybe mess around with this, probably turn it to like 85, and then go to the operator breaker or the operator controls. Maybe because it's like bouncing too much, I want to like leave it down to like maybe 80ish, something like that, and then see how that looks for you. Come back into the graph a little bit, and then yeah, like I said, it's all about how you want it to be, how you feel. As long as you understand it, you're probably gonna get something that you like or something close to what you like. Right. So that's another trick I use. Now, another one I use is called dissolve shake. Now, dissolve shake and shake are not too much different. The main difference between dissolve shake and a normal shake is however long your shake will be, there are times where your shake will um incoincidentally fade out. Kind of weird, but it's all dissolve shake, so it'll fade out. You don't want that. So everything is pretty much the same. So you have dissolve speed, amplitude, frequency. Those are the main ones you probably want to remember. So dissolve speed, I would not advise you to mess with because these control how fast your like fade out will be. So let's say you have it like this, that shit might come a little faster than usual. You don't want that. That's bad. That's terrible. You don't want that. Please no, don't mess with it.
Fantastic.
Amplitude though is very similar to the normal shape amplitude. In fact, it's not even similar. It's the same thing. Frequency and amplitude are basically the same thing from the last one. Amplitude is how much. Frequency is how fast. Right. So in this case, I want maybe like 340 or something like that, and I want to be 11.2. Now the X, the Y, the Z, all of this is very much the same. Nothing is changed. It's all the same except for the dissolve part. So you can customize the graph to however you want. I'm going to show you what my normal ones look like. So my normal graph or my normal settings for this would look something like 57, probably 203. And then this one's like maybe 150, right? So this is what my normal graph would look like, or my normal stuff would look like. I would come to maybe like I don't know, right here, I guess. It all depends how long your clip is. In this case, mine is really so I don't want it to be too hard or too bouncy. I want it to be like something perfect, something like I can get behind. So maybe something like this, maybe. See, nothing really happened. I can't say nothing, but I guess it depends on like your settings. If hold on, did I do it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe I might increase this a lot more. And hold on, did it change? On my tweaker, it does look the same. Yeah, it might be because of like certain settings, but if you generally speaking want it to more or less look something like how you want it to be. So my actual preset settings, which I normally is like something like this, right? So dissolve. Okay, so dissolve percentage. I remember now. So while yes, it controls like the fade out part aspect to it, it also is like the core shape. So you don't want to go past 40. Going past 40, it's like it's gonna yes shake, but it's also gonna be very dark. You're not gonna see that. So I normally range it to like 20, 30 ish, and leave it like that. That is like your core shape. You mainly want to use the dissolve percentage. Don't go past 30. Maybe you can go past 30, just don't go past 40. It's like 30 ish, 20 ish. You're in a good range, right? But this is what my normal shake looks like. on here. It's more, it's like a lot bountier, but you can tell it's very impactful. That's what I want to go for. So if we look at my settings, we got 205, very similar. This one is 124, but that is because I want a lot of impact on it. So this will what it'll be like. Right? You kind of get the point, right? Whatever you want your stick to be, that's what the settings is gonna be. So I showed you all of these. Now altogether, I'm not gonna lie. So if I were to show you like the blur and then dissolve stick, you'd get something like that. Right? It's just a stick on top of blur. Um, I did mention this earlier. I said I was gonna show you like what happens if you put like a blur in the middle of the clip. So if I put a blur in the middle, I would get something like this. Uh, So I'll get something like this, and then you can basically do whatever you want with that. Honestly, if you want something like that, you can like do a scaling. So let's say I want to like do a scale like this. I'll go like to 140. That's like a nice range I like to go to. I'll go over here. I want it to be pretty fast. So I want it to be something like this. So like when it happens, like that. So like it's gonna go, then the blur happens, and then like so. Basically speaking, the blur can be many ways, but it's mainly used as its intended purpose as a blur. Blur maybe the transition, blur maybe the effect, but roughly speaking, you can use the blur any type of way you want. I always just use it in the beginning because that's just how I've done it before. So the last thing I'm probably gonna teach y'all. So I'm probably gonna break the rules a little bit. So instead of like me using instead of me teaching you guys like an effect for the last one, I'll teach y'all a frame. I can't say rent. It's called a one framer, right? One framers are essentially one frame effect. So this is probably too much, but um, one framers are generally used for the beginning and the end of your clip. So I normally always use one framers because sometimes I will need them to make certain parts look good, or if I don't want to do a transition on that last clip, I'll add a one framer. So um, one framers are basically miniature like transitions into the next. Um, what I always do, so one of my favorite effects that I use for one framers are damage TV, or well, TV's got DCC damage TV. I always like using it because it adds like a cool effect. Another one that I might use is probably invert. So I'd go invert, right? And then I'd go black and white. And then boom, like that. I'd make that. So pretty much, it's a one frame where you'll only see the one frame part of these. You probably might not really actually see them. But to end it off, I'll use something called offset. Offset is mainly used for the ending of your clip because you could do something like this, move it all the way to like where that line is. So the line in the middle of this, you kind of want that to be in the middle. So probably, and maybe move it a little bit over, like in the middle. You kind of want to be in the middle, and to make sure it doesn't look weird, you want to use something called directional blend. Now you can either use, it doesn't matter which one you use. You can either use BCC or you can use the normal one. I like using the BCC version just because that's just how I roll. And then that's one of the one framers. So altogether, a one framer or three one framers will look something like this. Hold on, yeah, it looks something like this, right? Doesn't look like it's too much happening, but it's a one framer. But like I said, I normally either use it in the beginning or middle. So if I were to show you what it looks like in the end, let me zoom over a little bit. So yeah, in the end, it looks something like this. I always use it to end off the clip. So let's say I want this to, I don't want no transitions. I do just like that.
Oh,
I
okay.
always end my edits off just like that. Now, like I said, you can add more than three. I hear something. Now you can always get creative with them. Um, one framers don't have to consist of like clips. So this is, if I split them apart, it'd be like something like that, right? But there's other ways you can do three framing. I mean, one framing. So let's say I leave this right, but then I cut this out. Now I can use something like a solid, right? A solid is basically a black solid or a white solid. You could, depending on what color you make that very set solid, you can use it as a one framer, but it's a solid, right? So I'm going to use a black solid to give you an example. So the clip is going to be black here, but let's say I mess around with the position and I want to make it like this. So I'll tone it down to because you have to go through black. I'll make a copy, where like in Toady, and then I'll press P on my keyboard. I'd probably zoom up so then it looks like this, and then I'll probably get something like um. If I already do that, because I do this a lot. So, so I do something. I do something like this, right? It's kind of like you'll see like the damage TV, and then you'll see like the screen tear a little bit, and then like that. Right? It's kind of it's cool when you think about it. To me, at least, I figured it out on my own. I did it once as a game, but it's just
Alright.
something like that. That is mainly what one framers are. The one frame effects use either to start a clip or to end a clip. I normally always use them to start a clip, but you can use them in any way you want. Start, end, doesn't matter, right? So, the then I can just bring these over here to give you an example of what they look like in the beginning. I got caps lock on. So in the beginning, they look something like this. Then I'll end it, start it, end it, right? So you can play around with any type of clips you want, or not any clips, any type of effects. You don't gotta use the ones I'm using. You don't gotta use, damage TV, invert, black and white, offset. Like you don't gotta use them. Like if I didn't want to use this, bro, I could use something called like tank. I could use tank. Tank is basically a gradient as a color. So maybe I want to use red. So I'll use red. I could go like this, like that. Like, it's still a one framer, but it's different. Still, that is what a one framer is, and that's like an example of how I use them. You always use them on either adjustment layers, or if you ever want to be creative and do what I do, a black solid. That's essentially how I do my one framer and what they are. So yeah. Oh, let's backtrack. What did I teach y'all? If hold on, my sister. Wait, anybody? Oh no, nobody's here. No, no, the line. Anybody? Please, Ray.
Yeah.
Nobody's here.
Yeah, you what you done explaining?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Cactus start closing it out. What would you like to say? To all your students out here.
The students. Nobody's here besides freaking you. Malcolm and freaking Tyre aren't here.
They is here when they see it. Now, what would you like to close out with?
Oh, that's it. That's it for now, bro.
All right, you heard
I'm
that,
pretty much
folks.
out there, though.
Teacher more here. Class is concluded. Make sure everybody do their homework, as he would say. Yeah.
Everything.